Hi there, the Spanish grammar guy here from Focus15 Spanish. Today, I'm going to look at definite articles in Spanish. The definite what? The definite article. There are two types of articles, definite and indefinite. So indefinite articles are un, una, unos, unas. We'll deal with those in another video. Definite articles are el, la, los, and las, meaning the in English, of course. And depending on whether the noun they are referring to is masculine, feminine, singular, or plural. So the use of definite articles in Spanish is not easy, and it has lots of exceptions and quirks, and it even varies between regions of the Spanish-speaking world. But to some extent we can generalize, which will help you get it right most of the time, and all the other exceptions you can learn along the way. Generally though, if the definite article is used in English, then it's also used in Spanish, but there are a few exceptions, of course, as there always are. So, for example, let's take a look at this funny example here. If we look at ordinal numbers with kings and popes, I know it's a weird exception, but there you go. In English, for example, we would say Ferdinand VII. But in Spanish, you say Ferdinand VII without the article, or Carlos III for Charles III. There's also some set phrases in Spanish that have no article, whereas in English they do. And I can't list them all here, but for example, we could say something like a corto plazo, which would mean in the short term. En nombre de, in the name of. Cuesta abajo, down the hill. Cuesta arriba, up the hill. And there are many others, but I can't list them all here, but you get the picture. And strangely enough, the word internet has no article in Spanish. In English we say, I found it on the internet, or I downloaded a file from the internet. But if you were to say that in Spanish, you would say something like, bajar un fichero de internet. Strange, but true. So what if you have more than one noun? This is a little bit complicated, and there are variations throughout the Spanish-speaking world. But if you're talking about two or more different nouns, they should have their own article in Spanish, but not in English. Example, we could say in English, the sun and moon, while in Spanish you would say el sol y la luna. But what if the nouns refer to the same idea? Normally then, you'd use only one article, but this does depend on the context. For example, you can say, voy a comprar el libro y la revista. But you can also say, los libros y revistas están en el estante de arriba. The books and magazines are on the top shelf. So if the different nouns are seen as varieties of the same thing, then you only need one article for them all. Yep, I told you it was complicated. If nouns refer to something in general, then the article is used, and this is different from the English. For example, if we take an abstract noun such as democracy, you could say something like democracy is important. In Spanish, you'd have to use the article here, la democracia. For example, if you're talking about Cuban society, you would say la sociedad cubana. Or if you're talking about culture and rights, for example, you might want to say the debate about culture and rights. El debate sobre la cultura y los derechos. Again, you're using the article here in Spanish, whereas you wouldn't in English. If you're talking about substances as well, for example, if you want to say something like bran is good for the digestion, you would say el salvado es bueno para la digestión. And that is different from the English. And again, with things like countable nouns, you would use the direct article definite article, sorry, in Spanish but not in English. For example, los belgas beben mucha cerveza. Belgians drink a lot of beer. Or el tigre es un animal peligroso. Tigers are dangerous animals. Another exception would be colors. In Spanish, you would use the definite article with colors like el azul, el negro, but not in English. For example, if you wanted to say something like I don't like yellow, you would say el amarillo no me gusta in Spanish. You'd have to use the article there. If you're only referring to part of something, what you might call a partitive noun, you're not referring to all of it or the whole of it, then you leave out the article. For example, just like in English, you might say, I want some beer. Okay, you'd say in Spanish, quiero cerveza. You don't need the article there when you're replacing the word some. If you were to say, for example, there's no water, you would say in Spanish, no hay agua, not no hay el agua. Okay, so this is difficult in Spanish, but there's some generalizations there that you can take away and use. It covers a lot of the uses in Spanish of definite articles, but there are a whole host of exceptions and quirks that you will pick up along the way. Okay, thanks very much for watching this short video on articles, the definite article, and we'll look at indefinite articles too in another video. See you soon. Hasta luego.